This is Trenni and Tomase on Sports Radio WEEI. Trenni Kusnierek and John Tomase break down everything with the Pats, the Bruins, and all New England sports. So let's get to it. It's Trenni and Tomase on Sports Radio WEEI.
I used to live in Hawaii and just got a notice that said ballistic missile threat. And then it was quickly followed up by JK, no missile threat. I added the JKs myself.
Yeah.
But yes, there was a missile threat.
Was it a JK or an NK?
Oh, it might be an NK. Yeah. But false alarm in Hawaii. Authorities say the alert was inadvertent.
Yeah, so they're not going to die today.
Not today, kids. Not today.
Not today.
I'm actually happy about that. I know a couple that's right now vacationing on like Oahu. That would be really terrible.
I have relatives there actually.
So not today, Hawaii. Not today, but it could be sometime soon. Especially if you, if you live in a bleep hole country. I mean, you certainly are going to have
worth shooting a missile at.
We're not going to have to. You're not going to come here because we're not going to let you in. So you're just going to have to live and breathe and suffocate in your own poop hole country. If you're not aware of what we're talking about because you've been living under a rock, President Trump, I always forget that.
I know.
President Trump, allegedly, because we don't have any actual audio of it, but both Lindsey Graham and Dick Durbin, who were in on the meeting, confirmed.
Has Graham said anything about it? Because people have
I saw
said,
this morning.
Oh, he did. Okay, because I was going to say he said. Other people have said how he responded, but I didn't know if he had actually addressed it. Because most Republicans are taking the cowardly Tom Cotton, Purdue, whatever his name is, from Georgia, taking that we did not hear this. Okay, you guys are full of it. Let's listen to Dick Durbin describe what the president said and tell me if he sounds like somebody who didn't hear something.
As Senator Graham made his presentation, the president interrupted him several times with questions. And in the course of his comment, said things which were hate-filled, vile, and racist. I use those words advisedly. I understand how powerful they are. But I cannot believe that in the history of the White House, in that Oval Office, any president has ever spoken the words that I personally heard our president speak yesterday.
That is repugnant and repulsive. And can we finally put to bed this lie that there is anything other than hate in our president's heart? I won't even say soul. I'm not sure he has one. But, during the Charlottesville thing, I was in here with the morning guys, and I don't know if we have the sound, but Kirk was asking me a question I think we now have an answer to.
Do you think Donald Trump is do you think Donald Trump thinks black people are less than white people?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's...
Really?
Oh, you can make better... If you can make better arguments than that.
Well, really?
Please.
Why? Because he was once a landlord 45 years ago? I don't understand. Where?
In everything he says.
What?
In everything he
says.
I
don't
believe... I think he's
a moron. I don't think he's a racist. I really don't.
Oh, God. He's both. Yeah, so, I mean...
I would say it's hard to argue against that at this point in time.
Yeah, add that to the list, of the housing thing in the 70s. That counts. I think birtherism counts. There were fine people on both sides in Charlottesville. That counts. Our wonderful Confederate statues, that counts. Kneeling for the anthem, you ungrateful black athletes, that counts. Inner cities are all hellholes, that counts. I'm not even getting into Mexican rapists or Muslim terrorists. Let's just focus on black people. The Central Park Five, he still thinks they should be put to death even after they are exonerated. Please.
Or how about this one? An intelligence analyst and an expert in hostage policy stood before Donald Trump in the Oval Office last fall. The president repeatedly asked her, "Where are you from?" "New York," she replied. Trump was unsatisfied, asked her again. She said, "I'm from Manhattan." He wanted to know where your people are from, according to the officials who spoke off the record. After the analyst revealed her parents are Korean, Trump turned to an advisor in the room and seemed to suggest her ethnicity should determine her career path, asking why the pretty Korean lady isn't negotiating with North Korea on his behalf.
And what was her area of expertise?
She is a career intelligence analyst who is an expert in hostage policy.
Yeah, hostage policy. So, yeah, you should take over North Korea because he's a simpleton. Our president is a simpleton, and he cannot look beyond skin deep with anybody.
I mean,
They don't look like Indians to
unless
me,
they're a
sir.
porn star.
I mean, I do just want to ask the people who say, what's the big deal? And there will be people who argue and say, well, El Salvador is a bleep hole. Haiti is a bleep hole. Okay, I've never been to either of those countries, so I cannot speak as to what the infrastructure there is like, what anything on the surface is like there. But if a place is maybe not up to what a 5-star hotel would be, what we would expect from, say, a country that we visit or a place that we want to go, does that mean their people are also unworthy?
Yeah, because once upon a time, that was Ireland, or that was Italy, or that was Norway, the place that he was holding up as the example now. So,
not to mention, if those places are such bleep holes, why have you stopped the program where Haitian Americans, El Salvadorans, right? Is that what, or Salvadorians?
Yeah, El Salvadorans, yeah.
Are able to now continue living in the United States, and instead their temporary visa program has been axed by this president because in his mind those countries are okay to return to, and you no longer have to live and work in this country.
He doesn't care about what they're sending people back to. He just wants them out. And the temporary visa for El Salvadorans, in many cases, these people have been here 20 years. They have families here. They have set down roots here. They've established themselves here. This is their home. And so we tend on this program to rail on the president, and it's very easy to just get angry and just turn it into anger. But I would just say, if you take a step back, how can he have any credibility on any issue related to immigration? Or, he's supposed to salute Martin Luther King. The day that this story comes out, he's got people yelling at him, like you brought up earlier. Are you a racist? So he has no credibility on the DACA bill of love, sensible immigration reform. How can you take anything he says seriously on any of these topics when you know how he really feels?
Well, I mean, maybe you can if you believe in his financial policies, because this is a great tax cut. It's a great tax policy. It's making things better for everyone. Well, is it? Because a couple of weeks after AT&T gave their employees bonuses, then announced massive layoffs, Walmart decides to make a big deal. They're raising their minimum wage to $11 an hour. It used to be about $9 an hour. But just a few hours later, they decided to close 63 Sam's Club stores.
Morning, many Walmart employees are looking forward to pay raises, but others are being laid off. The retail giant announced yesterday it will increase starting wages to $11 an hour. It's expanding maternity leave and adding parental leave. Many employees are also eligible for bonuses of up to $1,000. Walmart says more than 1 million hourly workers will benefit.
That sounds like a good thing, but hours after announcing the pay raises, the company announced the closing of 63 Sam's Club stores. Up to 12 will now become fulfillment centers for online orders. Walmart did not say how many workers will now lose their jobs, but estimates say thousands could be affected.
Yeah, so listen, it's easy for us to connect these two things and say, oh, on the one hand, they make a big show of their tax cuts, but then on the other, the greedy corporation fires a bunch of people. This is my problem with this thing. So if you're raising minimum wage, if you're giving new maternity leave, parental leave, adoption stuff, all great things, you're telling me that all this stuff wasn't in the works already, and so you were going to do these things regardless of this tax cut. This is what I happen to believe. And you're doing the oh blessed tax cut kind of press release because that's what you have to do with our banana republic president right now. You must constantly be massaging his ego. And the only other thing I would say about this is bonuses and salary are two very different things. Bonuses go away. So you can make a big show of giving somebody a bonus, and that's great. I'm sure that people
extra $1,000 for a lot of people
means a lot.
Means a lot.
But, a raise that compounds from year to year to year, that would probably be a more permanent kind of solution. So a lot of this just feels like it's for show.
And listen, I also understand the need to close stores and make places distribution centers, right?
Yeah,
they're trying to compete with Amazon.
Yeah,
I fully understand that. But it's like rob Peter to pay Paul is what it feels like, right? All right. Well, the president is supposed to also make a trip overseas. He was supposed to go to London. This is the second time he was supposed to go to London.
They want no part of him.
They want no part of him. The early reports were that he was not going to make his trip to jolly old England because of planned protests. The English don't want him there. They are going to protest if he lands on their soil, but he is trying to say that it has nothing to do with planned protests. It has everything to do with, well, who do you think? Obama.
The over $1 billion U.S. embassy, still under construction, sits on a man-made hill. It has its own moat, and it's considered one of the most secure places in the world. On paper and certainly in person, this fortress lives up to the extreme security President Trump has called for in the States. But this morning, the president said he was not a big fan and blamed President Obama for the move. But President Trump's facts are off here. That bad deal was actually made by President George W. Bush in 2008.
And a shocking turn of events.
Yeah.
He got his facts mixed up.
He should love this place. It has a moat. Have you seen pictures of it?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It looks like a fortress. It looks like somewhere where like Superman was raised. Like it's this giant, hulking, disgusting fortress that has its own moat. It is 100% Trump. All it needs are gold toilets.
And he tweets out on January 11th, the day that it comes out, that he will not be visiting London. The reason he wouldn't actually start a sentence the way you're supposed to. Reason I canceled my trip to London is that I'm not a big fan of the Obama administration having sold perhaps the best located and finest embassy in London for peanuts, only to build a new one in an off location for $1.2 billion. Bad deal. Wanted me to cut ribbon. No. Again, it did not happen under the Obama administration. It happened under the Bush administration. And according to all the reports I have read, and do they really need a $1.2 billion new embassy? But apparently the old embassy needed significant security upgrades. And it was just dilapidated.
It lacked
it did lack a moat. A moat seems aggressive. A moat seems aggressive.
A little bit aggressive, yeah. So moving on, this is just sort of a little snapshot of the dysfunction that has marked, the Trump cabinet and the Trump appointees and all of that stuff. So this is just a little thing, but Health and Human Services, or Human Service Department, Teresa Manning, she ran their family planning unit. She's anti-abortion, which, okay, fine, for family planning purposes, I would go a different route, but I understand you're a Republican president, conservative values, all of that, that's fine. She also didn't believe in contraception, which is like, all right, if you're helping poor people plan families, you're now saying...
Contraception's pretty important.
Contraception's pretty important. Anyway, she got the boot after 9 months. I don't know why. She was let out of her office the other day. She's going to be replaced by a woman named Valerie Huber, who has spent most of her career advocating for abstinence education. And so it's just like Scott Pruitt hates the environment and he's running the EPA. Mick Mulvaney loves the banks, hates regulations. He's now the consumer protection person. You just go down the list of all of these people whose views are diametrically opposed
to the departments they're running?
To the departments they're running. And this one in particular, I understand the pro-life position that you think abortion is murder, and it's hard not to respect that if you feel that way. But where do you get off telling women in the family planning unit that you can't even use birth control? You have to abstain.
It's Handmaid's Tale.
It's Handmaid's Tale.
It's Handmaid's Tale. And those of us who, don't have fresh eggs and ovaries will be the maidens, and will train the handmaids so that they can go and have, religious sex and procreate for those who cannot. It's unbelievable. Again, I was born and raised Catholic. My father is staunchly pro-life. I have a lot of friends who are very liberal on a lot of issues, but again, have a very strong belief in pro-life issues. Many of them to the point where they also are very anti-gun. They link all of that together in a pro-life stance. I respect them. That is their choice. But none of them have ever said, most of them take birth control.
Yeah.
My mom took, I hope she doesn't care that I'm telling this on the radio. My mom had a diaphragm. I remember seeing it and wondering what the hell it was when I was a kid. God. I know my mom, I know my parents use birth control, and it's against the Catholic Church, but my parents didn't want 17 kids. They couldn't afford it. Family planning, if you don't want abortions, then give us options.
Yeah.
And make those options affordable.
Hand out some condoms.
And don't say to me, oh, well, just don't have sex, because that's not an issue for men. And that doesn't take away, by the way, and I just, I'm just going to go off on a tangent here. It's just, do not tell me what I can and cannot do with my body. Stay out, unless you are my boyfriend, stay out of my vagina. And with that will be a drop forever.
Yes. Yep.
But honestly, just stop it. Stop telling me what I can do with my private parts. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.